Welcome to the Pbios Live Podcast Studio. I'm Scott Emerson, and this is the last day of the Permian Basin International Oil Show 2025. Our podcast booth today is sponsored by T.D. Williams and Williamson. I'm sorry, mispronounced it, and we sure do appreciate them doing that. The furnishing is provided by Second Story, and if you don't know, they're a place in town. They even have a podcast room that you can rent by the hour to do podcast over in Centennial Building, I think.
Yes,
is where
that's
it
right.
is.
Almarine.
So today we have with me, first I'm going to introduce my sister, Janie Snelson. Yep, I've known all over the oil field as Janie's brother. And we also have Ben PATEL with AMTECH Drives. Ben, I'm assuming what you have is anything that runs on electricity. You can control the electricity going to the electric motor.
Yes, sir.
I took a long way around that, but that's
yes, sir.
All right. Well, tell us about what you do.
Variable speed drives or variable frequency drives, whichever way you want to call it. Frequency is because it's electricity.
Yes,
we are the original equipment manufacturer. We're the OEM of the products. We've been out here for the past 5 shows or over 10 years at the same booth. We provide our products in the oil and gas market on the upstream section, on drilling rigs to sucker rods, artificial lift solutions, ESPs, water transfer, water injection, you name it. Anywhere there's an electric motor that needs to either have fluid moving or even natural gas, compressors and so forth are all ran on electric motors, and we provide controls for it. Controls are not just to move the speed up and down, but they also do Internet of Things, where they would take the data and provide it through the internet in order for the major players to monitor it remotely. So a lot of the major oil and gas companies are monitoring every stroke, and the VSD is usually the device that works in tandem with other communication devices in order for the data to be transferred and or be controlled remotely.
So is part of your business plan that your VFD or variable
Yes.
speed drive, variable frequency drive can save enough money to pay for itself?
Yes, sir. There's multiple reasons. Electricity companies usually charge a demand fee,
Yes.
which because the electricity cannot be stored, it needs to be forecasted. So in the industrial space, there is a demand fee that is multiplied by your kilowatt per hour. When you use a VFD, you can start the motor at 0 speed, and that can eliminate or reduce the demand fee. The rest of the devices cannot. So when you buy a 10 or 100 horsepower motor and you just plug it in, it will just run, which means it will draw a lot of power. And in order for that, for utilities to maintain that, they would charge a demand fee. So they're really pushing oil and gas or industrial applications to go on VFDs in order for them to reduce that inrush, basically. New Mexico is offering credits on VSDs or VFDs almost up to $9,000 below 200 horsepower.
So is that like off their severance tax, or what tax does that come off of? Is it just
I'm not too sure Excel, but Excel Energy, that's the utility out
Yes.
in that side of town. And it's not across the state, but it is on the Permian side, which is your Hobbs and so forth, where you have
the money-making part of New Mexico?
Exactly. They want to make sure, because we're putting so much onto the grid, they want to make sure that, if they use the proper devices, not only will it protect the local neighborhoods from all the power that's being sucked for the drilling side of the world and or the transfer side of the world, which is pipelines, basically.
So Ben, how does that work with the electric company? If your product is installed at the get-go, do they automatically start the company out with a lower demand charge, or does it take a year or so before that's adjusted?
Before it used to be a year, but that now has reduced. Of course, it's based on each utility, so some do 6 months, some do month or so forth. You have to kind of monitor that within your own. We have a tendency of not looking at our bills as closely as we should.
Yep.
So I would highly encourage everybody to make sure that they look at that and work towards it, and call them and say, what can I do to reduce it? Because they are one of the few organizations besides water that I know of that tells you to save their product, even though they make a profit out of you.
Well, we were talking before you started, Janie, and I'm sorry to be monopolizing this.
Oh no, I'm just learning. You're good.
So if you're not just oil and gas,
No, sir.
We spoke a little bit before we started. So you're in municipalities, anywhere where there's an electric motor.
Yes, sir. So we go into a rock quarries, which is, surface mining, it would be called, where they crush rocks for cement or asphalt or so forth. They also use rock crushers, conveyors, screens. They also have water issues because there's a hole in the ground. Water comes because of the rain. And then they also have rock and so forth. Same with oil and gas. When you're drilling oil, usually the water table comes first because it's the first few hundred feet. If you're close to the ocean, if you're in the middle of nowhere, it's still less than 1,000 feet and you get water. All that water cannot hit the floor. EPA and all the regulatory would not be happy because of all the chemical induced and so forth. So Pioneer had done a phenomenal job socially, Pioneer Natural Resource, on the water transfer and cleaning the water before it was pushed back into the ground and so forth. So again, water has become a big industry, and I would highly encourage young individuals to look into that industry because it's growing constantly. Most people do not know that city council cannot approve a neighborhood before water authority approves the neighborhood.
Really?
So they don't even get if you're a contractor and you wanted to build 20 houses, first the water authority has to approve it because you have to have those pipelines there and the water accessibility before the neighborhood gets approved by city council and so forth. Because again, we as general public need water. And if it's in a major city where sewer systems are there, then that has to be taken back or it's a septic circumstance. But they have pump stations everywhere that brings us water. And then it would be lift stations that would take back. Some people call it different things, but it would be if you were a sewer system, there would be a lift station that takes the dirty water back. And then they separate all of that, clean it, and then most likely it goes back to the river.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah, water is just as important, if not more, than oil and gas right now. I mean, and we're all looking at ways to reuse water. Water reuse is a big thing in cleaning it up, all the things, so that's pretty awesome that you can do that.
Yeah, and I would highly recommend if somebody cannot get into the oil and gas industry, look into the water industry because it is subsidized by the government. It is a government entity, so you would be kind of working for the government, but you get to learn so much, and they need every discipline there is from an engineering perspective. So civil, structure, electrical, mechanical, industrial. It doesn't matter which engineer you become. They need it just like the oil and gas industry needs it. And oil and gas industry uses the same device, which is a centrifuge, to separate water and mud and so forth. Same thing is used in wastewater, where they're using a centrifuge, which is almost like your salad dispenser, in order for them to separate the solid and the water before it gets processed and filtered in order for it to go back to either a reservoir or a river or so forth.
Very cool.
That's very interesting.
We're really happy that AMTECH Drives is a sponsor of the podcast and helps us with this. We appreciate you being a part of it. We're probably down to a couple of minutes left. Is there something that you would like to say to the audience about your product and how to reach you?
Yeah, so we're one of the few original equipment manufacturer that design and manufacture VFDs or VSDs. That's still a family operation. At the ground floor, we compete with all the distributors that against our major competitors, which is Siemens, ABB, Schneider Electric, Honeywell, you name it, Toshiba, Mitsubishi. But they're all have a lot of other products. We're one of the focused drives companies. Unfortunately, we don't have airplane engines and TVs and so forth. And so we're more of a speedboat competing against the cruise ships, and we can be a lot more responsive when oil and gas or anybody who's looking for a VFD solution or so forth. Unfortunately, we don't have 1-800 numbers. We just have a 770 or a 407 or 713 number and so forth.
But you do have a website.
Yes, sir. AMTEChdrives.com.
Yep.
You can reach out to us and we'd be glad to assist in any case.
So no matter what your industry is, if you use an electric motor, you need to reach out to Ben. He can probably help you with some solutions. And Janie, you have anything you want to add?
No, are you active on LinkedIn?
Yes, ma'am.
So we'll tag you after this podcast, and so you can forward it out to all your customers and your potential customers.
Great.
And we hope we've done well by you today.
Yes, we really enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you guys again in 2 years.
Oh,
So
we'll be
great to
here.
meet
You know
you.
we will.
For sure.
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for
let's
having
wave
me,
out.
guys.